I would have to say that my vision of the world is these next probably 4 or 5 years are the most critical years upcoming in this ever-changing society that we're living in, because things are changing so dramatically with work and with money and with culture, because people staying home and quitting their jobs is a cultural shift. That's something, people deciding to stay at home and raise their own kids is a cultural shift. People actually looking at the school systems and what the schools are teaching their kids and thinking about having had the thought of homeschooling for the past 2 years is a cultural shift. But what's going to be followed through on and what isn't is going to determine where civilization is. The end is probably, the 70s, and the 70s right now is probably where there are always times and there are ages that are just forgotten. And I think at this point, everything up until 1990 is like basically going to be forgotten very soon. People don't want to know. It's like and what do they call it in the news? Burying the lead. And the lead is Ronald Reagan in 1980.
Scrubbing the data,
burying the lead. And it all started with Ronald Reagan in 1980. And if you don't know about Ronald Reagan in 1980 and what they actually accomplished as far as the economy and the way that the government works and the way that people work, they basically cashed in on that system. That's when the cashing in. It's sort of like, okay, we've gone as far as we can with this, so now we've got to create something new. And we're going to get our money.
Let's go ahead and extract.
Let's just go ahead and extract
all our profits.
Right, and that's what they did, and that's what the housing market was in 2000 when they started making houses available to everybody and doing loans that they knew they were never going to pay out. And, that right there that allows you to get, if you're selling mortgages on the back end, you're selling a $250,000 mortgage, you're collecting like $400, $500, some cases like $700, $800 for that paper on the back end. If you bought that, that's if you're a millionaire. Most people don't even understand it. They can't follow what I'm speaking about right now, what I'm talking about right now. But what it is it's a pull of cash out of the economy, the circulating economy. And they took that from the bank. So you take that and you put it in a bank, and when it crashes, it doesn't matter because you've already made a solid $400,000 on that loan. And you've done that 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times. So now when the whole shit crashes, nobody has money except for you. You've basically terraformed the whole economic system, and now all the money belongs to you, and you put it in the stock market, which doesn't circulate, and everyone else is left to fight for scraps. And that's basically.
No, it was a basic pyramid scheme.
It was.
If you was underneath the top rung when that shit crashed, you probably lost every.
It was. If you bought into the idea that the way you're going to make money is by actually going out and continuing to flip homes forever and ever as a builder, and you're never going to have to worry about it crashing.
What percentage of them do you think was letting it ride at the time it crashed?
A lot of them.
Letting it ride.
A ton of them. Yo.
To bigger and better.
A ton of them. At that point in time, that's when I was working as a mortgage banker. And you don't know how many people called me with 6, 7, 10. We had a woman that called us for a loan to my company, to my group. And this woman had 27 homes. 27 homes. Somebody had convinced her that it was a good bet and she was going to win. That person just kept selling her homes to the same company, getting that same like $300,000, $400,000 on each one because she's got good. She just allowed them to pull all that money out, and when everything crashed, she was left holding the bag. Because you don't know the big bankers that are up above you. You don't know the bank that's up there. So they pulled all that money out of the economy, and then they said, you need a stimulus, and then they took that money too.
Right.
So it's like they basically siphoned all the money, and then they said, and then they siphoned all the money out, and then they said, listen, Trayvon Martin got shot. And they said, like, you know what, y'all fight with each other over this for the next, like, 10, 15, 20 years. And now the whole world is in a different... No, that's what they did and everything. So now people, like, look at everything as race. Before I came on the show, I was listening on the Wisdom app to this guy, and he was talking about 9/11. He was a police officer, and he was a terror expert and everything. And he was discussing, he was like, you know, you have to remember what this country was like on 9/12. On 9/12, there was no race, there was no color, there was no creed, there was no money, there was no, like, everybody was just like...
Yeah, there was.
Well, listen, there always is in this country. But let's just say that if there was a day that the Klan and the Black Panthers were both working together pulling out rubble, that would have been the day that it actually happened. Okay? So, and then you move forward to now, and now motherfuckers can't stand each other. Nobody can stand anyone else. You know, we had all these things going on, and nobody can stand anyone else. And if you think that's just because of people and that you weren't moved into that direction, you're crazy. But that doesn't give you any more license. It doesn't give you any more of a break in my mind's eye, because you're still stupid enough to fall for it. If you're still stupid enough to hate people for those reasons, if I don't dislike white people, it's because of the things that those particular people do to and around me. Like the guy who tried to cut me online today. But like I said, Jesus.